Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 on this season finale day. The first video of the day, of course, is the Formula 2 season finale in Abu Dhabi. The Drivers' Championship for Formula 2 has all been sewn up. The Constructors was still up for grabs, but overall, we just wanted one last piece of great Formula 2 racing for 2025. Did we get it? Yeah, kind of. We're going to start, of course, with the Formula 2 Sprint. Before we get into that, though, remember to like and subscribe. And, of course, a huge shout-out to our members, Dakota, the Joyce James, Ryan Myers, Cinnamon Strudel, Michael Johnson, Mr. Eurovision 1986, Philip Deganzik, Andy Jones, Sarah Jowett, Facetious Badger, and The Baked Toast. If you want to become a member, click the link in the description down below. We're starting with the F2 Sprint, where future Racing Bulls driver Arvid Lindblad is on pole, Joshua Durksen alongside him. And as we get going, Lindblad has a good start. It's an awful start for our now new Formula 2 champion, Leonardo Fornaroli. He falls down to 11th place. The big gainer on the start, though, was Gabriele Mini, going up 5 places to P8. The big loser, Sebastian Montoya, loses 11 places in the opening laps to go down to 17th. And Montoya's weekend would just get worse. Joshua Durksen closing in on Lindblad for the lead at this point. John Bennett, is out at this point with a huge engine failure on lap 8. This brings out the virtual safety car. Durksen still chasing Lindblad down, but goes deep into turn 12 on lap 10. Further back, it's a great move from Crawford but then gets pushed wide on turn 9. Great move on Mini. Then he pushes Mini really wide on turn 9. Mini hits the curb and nearly goes completely airborne through the sky on lap 15. There's a great little fight between Gerfer and Beganovic for P4. Gerfer able to keep that place. And then more great stuff from Beganovic, who did rather well this weekend. Passes Gerfer, but then locks up, goes round the outside wheel to wheel and just comes out ahead. Really good racing from both of them for P4. And after a good start for Mini, he was kind of going backwards here. Pushed by Stanek for P9. Mini able to get the place back straight away, though. There is contact between Martins and Crawford. Crawford has front wing damage, but still manages to take P6 at this point into turn 9 on lap 20 of 23. We have a brief virtual safety car for debris. And then we're looking at the front of this race between Lindblad and Durksen for the lead. With 2 laps to go, Durksen does have DRS, but it was not enough. Lindblad takes the win, what would turn out to be his final F2 win on his final F2 weekend. Joshua Durksen in P2, Nicholas Solov in 3rd, his first ever F2 podium. Surely more of them to come for him next year. Of course, he really should have had his first F2 podium this time last week, but lost it on the final couple laps. So a bit of redemption there for him to have a P3. Solov, though, it has to be said, has turned up in F2 and has just kind of got it immediately. Is he a contender for the F2 title next year? Maybe. You let me know what you think. Beganovic was 4th, Gerfer was 5th, Crawford was 6th, Martins in 7th, Dunn takes the last point in 8th, and it was Mini in 9th, Stanek in 10th. We now go to this morning's feature race where Roman Stanek was on pole position with Crawford alongside, but before the race has even begun, there is a 10-second stop-go penalty for Crawford for a starting procedure infringement. The commentators seem to think that this came from the fact that his wheels were not on the car in time whilst he was on the grid. So a bad start for Crawford. As we get away, Stanek is able to keep the lead off the start. A few laps in, though, there's a huge crash between Martins, Dunn, and Shields. Dunn goes for a rather ambitious dive on Martins. There's contact between the two of them. Dunn spins the middle of the track. Martin spins off track. Then Shields, coming through the chicane, doesn't see him, goes right into the side of him. All of them were out, brings out the safety car. 10-second time penalty for Dunn at this point. How that's going to be played out, I'm not sure, because Dunn was not in the race from this point onwards. But it would not be the 2025 Formula 2 season if we did not see one last penalty for Alex Dunn. I'm hoping that Dunn comes back next year for F2, because despite his mistakes that he has made, when he's not making silly mistakes, he's very, very fast and definitely could be a contender for the title if he was to come back next year. So we shall see what's going on with Alex Dunn. It's all up in the air at the minute since he left the McLaren Academy, so who knows? But anyway, he has a 10-second time penalty, which could be a 5-place grid drop for the start of next year, which is the most Alex Dunn thing that has ever happened. Meanwhile, gainers and losers on the opening laps. Mini, again, gaining a lot, up 7 places to 6th place. Browning up 8 places to 9th place. The safety car ends on lap 6 of 33. Stanek leads from Bogdanovic. They both pit from the lead, though, because, of course, you can only... the first time you can pit in Formula 2 is lap 6. So they both pit from the lead, as does Gabriele Mini. Stanek was held briefly as Browning was coming into pit, but as they come out, Stanek still has the lead from Bogdanovic, but only just. They are battling as they come out of the pit lane. Bogdanovic takes the lead into P6. Now, Joshua Durksen, who was behind both of them before this, he pits from the lead on lap 9. Also, you have Gerfer, Villagomez, and Miney. They all pit as well. As Durksen comes out, he is ahead of both Bogdanovic and Stanek. By staying out that one extra lap, and on the out lap, you have those two fighting, Durksen was able to make up that time and now leads the race. Montoya stops on track just after the hotel section and the Latifi wall. We see in a replay he had a big spin going into that section there, was able to recover it, but as he went under the hotel, he seemed to have lost everything. So he pulls over to the side of the road. We have a virtual safety car from there. It's a virtual safety car for quite some time. It does eventually get turned to a full safety car after the marshals beach the car on the curb. At this point, we have Fornaroli in the lead from Lindblad. They, of course, are on the alternative strategy, and they were doing very, very well to build a good gap. They had about a 31-second gap between them and Durksen. Of course, with the safety car, that was completely destroyed. Safety car ends on lap 15. The alternative strategy guys cannot pit at this point because we know that those super soft compound tyres are doing 6 laps, maybe 7 or 8 if you're very, very lucky, and we're on lap 15 of 33. So they have no choice. They cannot pit. They just have to go for it. And, I mean, the thing is, Fornaroli and Lindblad, and, even Crawford to an extent, because he recovered very well from his initial penalty, on that alternative strategy, were doing really, really well. And that safety car completely screwed it for them. Without that safety car, maybe they could have finished higher. But there you go. Fornaroli went early. He was underneath the hotel as he went. But then he locks up into the final corner, goes wide, comes back on, is able to keep the lead at this point. But you have Lindblad, who is not too far behind. The only hope that they really had at this point, because that gap they'd built had gone, was there was about 5 cars between Lindblad and Durksen, who has the net race lead at this point. So they really just needed them to slow Durksen down if they wanted a chance at winning this race. Ultimately, they didn't. There is a 5-second penalty for both Browning and Bogdanovic at this point for speeding in the pit lane. Bogdanovic, who was in the net race second place at this point. Lindblad tries to go around the outside of turn 9 for the lead but can't make it stick. Durksen fighting through the traffic now, who hasn't pit. Stenshorn, he passes Stenshorn for P7 on lap 19. There's another lock-up for Fornaroli, who then skips turn 6 on lap 20. Crawford passes for Shaw for P3. Lindblad briefly takes the lead into turn 6, but Fornaroli is able to take it back into turn 9. There is an incredibly ambitious dive bomb from Lindblad, who tries to get past Fornaroli at this point, was not able to. Thankfully, there was no real contact between the two of them, but then coming out of the chicane, Lindblad was able to take the lead around the outside of turn 9. Great racing from both of them to give them just the amount of space that they needed. Really good stuff from Lindblad to take the lead at this point. A couple laps later, Crawford is now past Fornaroli into turn 6, but again, Fornaroli is able to take it back into turn 9. Lindblad and Fornaroli both pit on lap 30 from the lead, but fall down to 12th and 13th. What could have happened without that safety car? We'll have to just imagine it, because there's no real way of knowing. But they did do tremendously well, and I think their final finishing positions do not reflect how good they truly were in this race. Lindblad's pit stop was very interesting. Firstly, stopped in the wrong box. then had to go down one and stop in the correct box. Then the guy who was changing his front right tyre was so pumped up about the race that when he puts the front right tyre on, he actually pushes the car so it's now on a diagonal within the pit box. So great stuff from the team there on Lindblad's final F2 pit stop. But yeah, as we cross the line, checkered flag comes out. It is Joshua Durksen who wins the final F2 race of the year, which means he won the first race and the last race. As Stanek finishes P2, which is enough to steal the Constructors' title for Invicta. It is Mini in P3. Bogdanovic is 4th, thanks to the penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Ollie Goethe in P5, Villagomez in P6, Kushmaini is 7th, Ratomo Miata in 8th, Arvid Lindblad finishes up in P9, 2 points for him in his final race. What could have been if not for the safety car? I don't think he was really on for the win, but maybe a top 5, who knows, maybe a podium at a push. But yeah, a good race for him to finish off the season. In P10 was Crawford, a very, very, very good recovery from him from that penalty at the start of the race, which of course there was nothing he could really do about that at all, but a good recovery from him. Driver of the weekend has to be Durksen. It has to be, winning the second race, and then he was P2 in the first race. Really, really good stuff from him. That is Formula 2 for 2025 done. In the books, finished. We'll be back for more Formula 2, of course, in 2026. But for 2025, there is one race to go. It is the Formula 1 finale in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen on pole. Lando Norris P2. Oscar Piastri P3. Any one of them could be the champion. Who's it going to be? I've got my finale tie on. I forgot to mention that. Bloody hell. More of that to come. If that doesn't keep you coming back, I don't know what will. We'll see you later on for all things Formula 1. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.